on the fireplace itself.
Yes, they were each running.
But we're good.
We have everyone in there except for
Okay.
You can buy these
For kids?
units.
My concern is, I don't know any of the codes or anything. It's kind of important.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we're going to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Union City Community Schools Board meeting. If you're watching at home, you're nice and toasty, as it is a little cool in here tonight. Our meeting agenda is available for you to follow. The expectation for our board meeting is to follow this agenda closely. We operate under the Open Meetings Act and utilize Robert's Rule of Order to govern our discussion and decision-making process. There is an opportunity for public comment during our set agenda. We welcome the public to express their opinions during this time of our agenda. If there are questions about the agenda or the board meeting process, please seek out one of the board members for clarification. Do we have any additions or deletion of items to the agenda? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Our first public comment statement time. This is a section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about items on the agenda. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to election of officers. We have president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
I would like to make a motion that we retain the previous school year's officers to the next school year as they were.
Support. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on to consent grouping, the board bylaws. We're going to have two different sections. If you're looking at your agenda, we are going to have V as a consent grouping, which are all of these board bylaws that are covered in that. And then the next one will be the 6, VI, consent grouping designations. Those are going to be two separate motions. So the first one I'm going to ask for is a motion to accept the consent grouping 5 as listed.
So moved.
Discussion.
Every year I talk about it, but at some point we need to, I think, raise the pay of the president, because it's not that you're going to get rich off of it, but I think there should be a little bit more of a president, because that's a job that not everyone wants, not everyone can do. So I'm not saying that we change it today, because that's not the part of the motion, but at some point I think it should be looked at, because we've had trouble in the past getting someone to be a president. So. And there's times, especially when you're looking for a superintendent, that you are not looking for things to do. And I think it's kind of insulting to get paid that much, to spend that much time at that point in time.
Well, maybe we can look at that later on in the year. We'll make that as one of the things to consider looking
I bring it up every year, and I
know
actually
you
make
do,
a motion. So
but I am going to take you up on that this time, that we take a look at that as being a little extra pay.
I mean, no one does this because for the financial incentive. I mean, if you are, you're in the wrong position. But,
That's right.
I do think that the president does have more responsibilities and work required, and so I think there should be something to incentivize someone to want to do that.
We will look at that this year. I just feel kind of weird saying we're going to look at that when I'm the person
I
sitting
know.
in the chair.
That's why I waited till we voted.
Okay, any other discussion? Paula, I feel like you're a little light on that side of the table. You can move closer if you feel like you need some support.
Okay.
Okay, all right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on to consent grouping, the second one, which is number 6, or VI. And I will entertain a motion for that consent grouping. Just gotta double check. I was thinking. No, this is not that part of it. Oh, it's under that one, okay. All right, so, I will take a motion for that.
Are you ready for
Yeah,
one?
I'm ready, sorry.
I would like to make that motion.
He said so
Archie.
moved
Okay,
faster.
then I would like to second.
Support. You wanna support it? Oh, we're a little rusty this evening, okay.
That's how
Any
it works.
discussion? Any,
Slow the ball over here.
seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying
Aye.
aye. All those opposed, the same. And that motion carries. Next, we'll go down to, appointing committee members. That's what I was looking for. I was thinking it was in that one, but it's not, in that last one. So,
Oh, that's for consent agenda?
yeah,
Okay.
so, is everyone okay with the, committees that they are on? And does anyone want to make a change?
I would like to make a comment on that. When I look at that, it says that I am the alternate.
Oh, yep, on personnel. You are
Correct.
not.
No, I am not. Paul cannot be on personnel.
Correct. Correct. So we need to switch
That was
that.
a change we made.
I got it.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
Is there an alternate?
Paul really can't be the alternate either.
So one of the other three could be the alternate.
So that's either me, Darren, or Archie.
We're all on the other one.
Yep. That's just gonna have to be how it is though for personnel.
Whatever. I mean,
Is that a
I'll-
yes?
I can
I
do
saw
two.
a little,
don't care.
Archie's the alternate?
Yeah, let's put Archie as
Okay.
alternate then, if that's okay with you, Archie.
That's fine.
Okay.
For the
Um,
record, I don't care to put my cell phone number on that list. 'Cause it's probably better to get a hold of me. I don't know if anyone uses that list or not, but
For which, what?
some of these people have home phones, which I have.
Oh.
They also have cell phones, and I don't ever answer the home phone, so if one of you were to come here to look to get a hold of me, that would not be
Yeah,
the best way to do
You
it.
want your cell phone, is that what you're asking?
What's that?
You want your cell
You
phone
want your cell on there?
I think it makes the
Okay.
most sense, yes. I don't know who uses this piece of information, so if no one
I'm
uses
not
it,
sure
it's-
either, I don't know.
I don't use it.
It's
I
what
just
you've
already
given
have
me
you all
in
in
the
it.
past,
Okay.
that's what I use,
So,
so, but
if-
I could put whatever you would like listed there.
it's more, yes, let's put my number on there.
How about Jen? Do you want your cell on there?
That is my cell.
Oh, that is your cell?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a Coldwater.
Oh,
It was-
okay. I
It was a
thought that was
landline that
landline.
was switched over, yeah.
And Paula, that's your cell?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, and that's my cell.
The
I
social
think we're all
security is.
okay. I think we're all good. I think we're all good with that.
Yeah.
Very-
Okay. Are there any other changes that need to be made on that document? Is there anything that the Centennial Trust needs to do or actually does do? Not that I'm trying to like give him work, cause I know he's got enough to do. I'm just wondering if that's even a
Do we
thing.
even have it in
They
here?
haven't
I don't
met
know.
for
I'd say,
It's
think
half a
Darren-
dozen years.
It was
It,
winding.
it was supposed to be closed,
Okay,
and I guess I need to talk to Mr. Rathburn and ask him what the final say is. I'll see if I can find out.
Okay.
But it
Okay.
should be gone.
That's what I
Okay.
was thinking. I was thinking they were wrapping that
The
up.
intent was to take all the remaining funds and put them into the, whatever that thing is over by the Family Dollar.
Oh,
yep, the dome.
Oh, the
Dome.
dome? Okay.
I wanna say bell tower, but it's not a bell tower, but
Right.
the intent was to funnel the remaining funds to that and close it, but I don't know if that was officially done.
if it was closed, then we can remove it.
Sure, whatever.
Okay.
If you
I will
find
put that
out-
on my
find
to-do
out, let
list.
us know.
Okay.
Add that to your list, right at the
Yep.
top.
Okay, I think we're good on that. Anyone have anything else about, the committees and that? Okay, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. I will entertain to, approve the consent agenda as listed.
Support?
Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We'll move on now to correspondence. Do you have any correspondence this evening? Okay. Then we'll move on to action items. First up is financials. Board action is required to approve the financials for the months ending November 30th, 2023 and December 31st, 2023. I will entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support. Give it to Archie.
Discussion.
I still don't see December on there, maybe I didn't reload it or something, but,
You uploaded the December, right?
okay. Do you have December on yours?
I do.
Okay. I'll look at it later if I have a problem.
Yeah, it's in there.
Doesn't show up on mine.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next is elementary teacher hiring. Board action is required to approve the hiring of Tamara Badone?
Bodwin,
Bodwin.
Close
Thank
enough.
you.
or Mrs. B to her students.
All right, we're gonna go with hiring Mrs. B as a second grade teacher. I will entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
This just replaces the lady that left. Welcome, Miss
Mrs. B.
Miss B.
I feel really bad that I can't keep that in my head.
I had to ask her a few times. It's hard to pronounce.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next, elementary paraprofessional hiring. Board action is required to hire Amber Washburn as an elementary paraprofessional, and I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
Again, this is a fill-in for empty spot.
Yes, the ISD authorizes to hire 3 LRE aides, all funded by the ISD.
This is the only one that
This
wasn't
was-
already working here, right?
Right.
Okay. Cool. This is for how long?
Going forward, until they tell me they won't do it anymore.
In perpetuity, okay.
Yes.
Good.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Middle school cheer coach hiring. Board action is required to hire Doreen Holtz as the middle school competitive cheer coach. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved. Support.
Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same, and that motion is carried. Next, Neola policy update 38.1, second reading. Second reading and board action is required to approve Neola policy update volume 38.1. I would entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
I did have a question, but Mr. Katz answered it and reminded me that we are paying people to write policies too much money, but that's okay. I can explain to those that are interested later when you're not wasting everyone else's time, but it's nothing to not approve it for, but it's silly, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next, Neola policy, winter 2023 special update. Chris.
Yes, so I would just like to make a couple of comments about this. If you're, for those that might be unaware, the state changed several laws related to negotiations or the Public Employment Relations Act. And so it impacts things that were once considered prohibited as part of bargaining are now, many things are now either must be bargained or can be bargained. There's really 2 new categories there. Not new, but 2 categories of items. So because these things used to be able to be set by the board, things like, for instance, one Darren asked about, which is teacher placement. Back in 2011, the law was changed so that it made it So where teachers were placed was entirely under the control of the district. That is now once again something that can be negotiated with the bargaining unit. So this policy update puts in place the things that we need to have in place prior to those laws taking effect, which is February 13th, so that we are ready for that when the laws do take effect, have the appropriate policies in place, and will also help us be prepared to go into negotiations with the union. Darren asked about a number of things that were crossed off, and basically those things were all taken out because they would be a violation of the law the way it stands. And next month on the board meeting, I just briefly talked to Amber. I have a document that has a list of the items which are now considered negotiable, things we need to bargain over. And it's a rather extensive list. And so I want to have a closed session meeting at our meeting next month before we get into negotiations with the board to go over those items so that you're aware of what now has to be negotiations, and we can establish some priorities of what we want to make sure we accomplish. So it actually, our contract was not supposed to be up right now. The only thing we would be negotiating over this term would be wages. The rest of the contract would not be discussed normally until a year from now when the whole contract is up. But because these parts of the law have been changed, they've indicated that we will be required to negotiate over these now. So hopefully we'll be able to work together with the bargaining unit. I've already talked with the UNISERV director and the president of the union, local president, and others about these, about trying to get together to discuss them. And so hopefully we'll be able to work together on all of them and come to resolution. But that's what these policy changes are for.
And then if you could explain why we're voting on it tonight, and we will see it again next week.
Okay, so normally your Neola policies, you have two readings. First reading, you see them, and then the motion is the second reading. But you do have the option in your policies to vote on the first reading, which would put the policies into effect until the next meeting, at which time you'd vote again, which would confirm them. And so that gives you, that would put the policies in place prior to February 13th, which is what we need. So it's either do that tonight, have a vote tonight, or if we just call this the first reading and there is no vote, we would need to have another meeting prior to February 13th in order to give approval to them. But if you vote on them tonight in a resolution, we can then vote on them. That will approve them through the next meeting. And then in the next meeting, we would have another vote, which will add them permanently. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, that being said, what I'm going to do is ask for a motion to approve the Neola Policy Winter 2023 Special Update to be approved as marked, and we will do it in a resolution style. So I will entertain a motion for the same.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion.
Other minor thing that I had qualms with, but there's a lot of information about, this happens on July 1st, 2024, and I asked if we could just wait until July 1st, 2024, and the answer was no. So basically there's hundreds of words in here that are redundant in my opinion, or shouldn't be there, but it doesn't really matter.
I think the reason the answer was no, the reason it is important is that because it does change on July 1st, if you didn't have that language in there, okay, then when we got to that point, yes, we could vote on something then, and make the change at that time. But because you're putting it in there now, that means as we enter into negotiations, we all know what's going to be in effect on that day.
We can anticipate.
And so we don't have to discuss, well, what might the board do on that date? We already know it's been done. It's included in there. And that gives us certainty entering into negotiations. Does that make sense?
That was better stated than what I said, yes. My point is, I thought that was kind of silly to do that and then go in there in August and delete it all and just make it what it is.
After
but
July 1st, you could change it and take
So,
all that other,
just-
because the other language will no
I'm not a
longer-
huge fan of changing policies for changing policies, but I understand what you're saying. So that was my other concern, that,
Lawyers.
yeah.
Mhm. Right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Kelly, will you call the roll? And I remembered this time. I wrote it special.
Labar,
Yes.
Gauchi,
Here.
Mears,
Yes.
DeYoung, Herman.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on now to discussion items. Board Appreciation Month.
Yes, this is Board Appreciation Month, and you can see over on this table, we have a number of items from several students. Middle school's got a big poster there with candy all over it. But you want to read through it first, because the candy fits into the poster for you, and then we've got some snacks and things over here to show the board. We appreciate your efforts and all of your work that you put into this. As you said, it's not very well paid. None of it is, certainly, and you're not doing it for the money, but we appreciate all the time and efforts you put into this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next item marked is information. Nothing under it. Do we have information?
Well, I have some information that we can talk about, because we don't have any heat at the high school. As you saw in my message I sent you, we have a leak in at least one leak in our pipes that we have underground that we talked about moving overhead because we were afraid they were going to leak. They are leaking. As near as we're able to determine this afternoon, Spencer was actually gone for the day somewhere. I don't know where he was traveling, but he actually left and came back so he could try to figure out what was going on. And they've narrowed it down to two of the loops that are in the building that are leaking. But they had, one of them is somehow connected to a third loop. So all three of those loops have been shut off currently. We have no heat. As near as as what he told me, is we have heat in the rooms that are north of the boiler room. So that would be the room 4 and 5, like toward where the wrestling is, and the locker rooms. And he said we have heat in the rooms around the courtyard. However, somebody checked room 14 for me and there's no heat. So this room was warm at 3 o'clock. It was actually very warm in here. But when he had to shut off the ones he had to shut off, now this room is freezing. So we have someone coming tomorrow. They could not come today. We originally thought they were going to be here today, but they're going to come tomorrow morning to do thermal imaging to try to figure out exactly where the leaks are. Other than that, I really don't know what, until we know what the problem is for sure. We don't know how extensive or how lengthy the repair is going to be, or what we're going to do. So we're all kind of now at this point waiting until tomorrow morning to figure out what kind of plan we can put in place.
Or could that just a leak and not a frozen pipe?
It's losing water from the system when they're open. The amount of water, we're getting a low water warning on the boiler. So water is escaping the system in some way. They did go around looking, trying to see if there was any water. They couldn't see any, but that doesn't mean it's not going down. And working on that sinkhole that we talked about, but we don't know. Until they come in and do that imaging, we won't know for sure. So I will know more tomorrow morning. I was already looking at closing school tomorrow, possibly because of the wind chill. In the county, we've sort of agreed, the superintendents have, if we have a -20 wind chill, we will close. And the forecast is for a -20 wind chill tomorrow during the day, during the school day. So given this situation, after we're done here, I'm going to be sending out a notice closing school. And a lot of the Battle Creek schools in Chicancha Harbor have already closed for tomorrow as well. So it works out. Maybe we'll have a day to try to figure this out. But after that, I don't know what we'll do. We'll have to wait and see what the problem is.
Okay, well, keep us
Yeah, I will,
informed, I
believe me,
guess. Keep us posted.
I will keep you posted as soon as I know something. I will give you the information. And we will be looking at all the options we might have to get the doors open. So.
Okay, thank you. Now we move on to our second public comment section. This is a section of the meeting in which the public may make comments or share their opinions about Union City Community Schools. We ask you to limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes per person to allow others the opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for the board to listen to your concerns. It is not board practice to act on the concerns voiced during this meeting to allow for the board to do further research. Do we have any other comments at this time?
Where do I go?
Oh, we don't have a podium up.
We didn't move the podium.
Just
Eric, hold it for me.
come up a little closer where we can all hear you real good.
Sure.
You can do it without.
January is School Appreciation Month, I'm sure you all know. Thank you for all your hard work. I wanted to tell each of you so. As busy as you all are, each of you still find time for this though, even on days like tonight when it's freezing and the roads are covered up with snow. Doing all this work and you barely get paid even a dime. As little as you earn from doing this, it almost is a crime. I only wish I wasn't as busy as well and had just a bit more time. Then I would have written something better that actually might rhyme. We're also fortunate for your work, all you do every bit. It's not always rewarding, at times you might even want to quit. Some people complain about you, talk bad and throw a fit. Those that think they're so much smarter, I bet they don't know much. I hope this isn't out of line and not speaking out of place. Just wanted to say thanks to each of you, right to your face. But if you don't approve of this and think it's a disgrace, it was totally my decision. Please don't blame my boss, Amber Case. Thank you, Jen, as well as Dave, doing this after he'd retired. And thanks to Darren and Archie, whose kids I've had and are so admired. Thank you, Paul, and also to Paula, whose yoga lessons are inspired. And thank you, President Amber. I hope after this I don't get fired. I'm sure this job is hard and caused you to get stressed. Certainly there's been nights when you didn't get much rest. But the school in this town, we are truly blessed. Thank you, school board members. You truly are the best.
Aw, thank you. You're safe. You're good.
I would ask that Darren and Archie don't mention that to your boys, what I said.
Absolutely not.
You didn't mention Ben there.
Has Ben been yet? Has he had Ben in class?
Yeah, he has Ben now.
Oh.
It's hard to run with Archie.
Grouchy,
If
I'm
anyone
thinking
can
of
do
many
it, it's
words.
you. All right, well, thank you so much for your comments. Next, we'll move on to board roundtable. Does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss?
I do, but I'm waiting to give others the opportunity to go first.
Looks like you're up,
Go
so.
ahead.
One minor detail, but I don't know how we decide to update websites for teachers and things, but there's some people on there that don't work here anymore, and people that do work here that should be on there, so I don't know. I know it doesn't need to happen every 5 minutes, but I think we should try to update that.
We are in the middle of a transition of websites
Okay.
from one company to a different one. As a matter of fact, our contract with the current one expired at the end of December. But there are some things on the new one that are not up to date yet. And so I'm working on that in my spare time.
Okay.
Finalizing that, and it'll be switched over. And so any fixes and things like that are going in the new one. So hopefully that will debut here sometime in the next week or two. And it will have all those things corrected.
And then then we have a system for when people leave or are hired in, they get put on there, how does that,
Our system is that,
Kelly tells you?
is that, no, Grant is supposed to take care of that. Yes, which he set up the new website. It just, and we did actually put the new one into place this fall early for a while, but there was a lot of things on that were not on there that he had, didn't realize need to be on there through requirement of law. And so I disabled it and we went back to the old one. And I just haven't been able to get through and get the other ones updated yet, so.
Okay. Second question, is everyone asking me how the construction projects are going? I don't really have a good answer for what's going on over there because it's been cold, but.
Yeah, as far as those projects, the bathroom has been started. They've started laying block, but obviously with the cold snap here, there hasn't been anything done since the temperatures really dipped. I think the last block I saw them put on was last week sometime. As far as the pouring of cement, most of the walls on the west side of the press box are all done. The only ones remaining, the ones they're forming, are the ones on the east side, right next to the press box. And once it warms up enough, they can pour those. Then it's just the flat surfaces, the sidewalks and things that need to be poured. And that might end up being done when it warms up in the spring, at that point. So a lot of it is all dependent upon the weather.
They still have relative confidence they'll be done before the track season, as we had
That is
guaranteed.
what I'm told, that's the plan, yes.
I've walked the concrete, the new concrete. My kids went up there and ran at the track, and I went with them, and it's
How's it
really
look?
nice. It looks really nice.
So what you're saying is you went around the construction barriers.
No, there were no construction
Oh, okay.
barriers. There were none.
You know, you realize you do that at your own risk, right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
There's no railings or anything yet?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. It would be my fault if anything happened.
Lastly, it's something that I wanted to kind of throw out there. In the past, we've had updates every month from everyone from the different principals to the AD to whatever. I'm not suggesting we go to that because even though it's interesting, it does put a lot more work on their shoulders, and I don't know that it is value added, I guess, for the amount of work they have to do to present that information. But on the financial side, it's easy to get lost in the numbers and or to just ignore them altogether because you don't want to have to try to figure it out sometimes. It would be nice if there could be, and it has been in the past, but like a narrative of a few things, like, hey, well, this is a concern, we're watching this, just a few bullets would be nice every month. And it could be as simple as no concerns, everything looks fine, whatever. But sometimes there's some things that, that we're tracking ahead of what we should be or behind what we should be, and
You're talking specifically about the financials?
correct.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I don't think it's necessary for the other pieces of the business, but for the financials, it would be nice sometimes just to have
I understand.
a couple
That would be
sentences.
helpful, I'll agree.
Hey, we're on track. This one little thing is probably going to have to look at in the next budget review because of whatever, just
So-
bullets instead of just all the numbers like this.
I can tell you that on Friday, I had Sarah has been working on a budget amendment, and really since she returned from her vacation time over the holidays, she worked all last week on a budget amendment, and she and I met on that Friday and looked at it, and the information as she had it, it was very difficult for me to see, what had changed from this summer until now, just by looking at those numbers. So she and I talked about making some changes to the format that would allow allow us to look at certain parts, like for instance, wages and benefits, to see, okay, what happened to that specific part in terms of changes. Is that the budget has to be higher or lower in that specific area, as opposed to just being, okay, instruction has gone up by this much. Well, instruction can mean a lot of different things. It could mean the wages, it could mean, some services we had to pay for. What is it that's caused this? Could be retirement, but it is indicated. And so she was gonna make some changes to that. She talked to me about some of the adjustments she made to make that more understandable. The other difficulty that we had was that the state, as we've talked about before, has gone more and more toward these individual grants for funding. And so rather than just simply get in addition to the lump sum amount, whatever the foundation is, we are also getting these larger amounts for specific things, like $45,000 to improve employee teacher salaries, or we got 180-some thousand for transportation, and we got 2,600 for this, and 13,000 for that, and they're later and later in providing that information. Some of it she didn't get until into December, which makes it hard to get that in an update and everything. So she's going to bring all that along with a written narrative for next month's meeting, so that you will see how the budget has changed. I can tell you the projected deficit is less than it was last summer. So even though our enrollment is lower than we had estimated it would be, our fund balance is going to be budgeted higher than we had planned at the beginning of the year. So it's in a positive direction. But she will have, in addition to a narrative to help explain that, she will have a little bit different format in the presentation that I think will make it a little easier for you to see and understand that. And I also talked with her about the format in the regular financials, because in addition to a narrative, I think some changes in the format will help make it easier to see exactly what's going on too. But I will suggest to her that we look at every month, if there's something specific that took place during that month, that she add narrative information to that to make it more understandable when you see something that's doesn't look quite normal. Okay.
That's great. I mean, I'm willing to wait and see what the new things look like, but I just thought it'd be simple to put, hey, we got a grant for whatever it's going to be, showing the next budget revision.
Right.
Boom. Just a couple one-liners, or hey, nothing to report. Everything looks fine right now. So it doesn't have to. I don't want it to be I got to prepare for an hour to write this. And back in the day, Lori McGurk used all these pictures and everything, and it was really beautiful. And I'm like, man, that must take her hours. I don't want her to spend hours on it. I just want a quick couple lines, and it could be nothing.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else for roundtable? Seeing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
I'm going with Archie.
Okay, it's fine.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you for coming. Please
I
stay
just
warm.
wanted to invite all of the board members. Sorry, I didn't want to go after the poem. It was just too